Hey everybody, it's Randall. It's 2019 and it's the year of a lot of 50th anniversaries. Led Zeppelin 1, one of the greatest albums of all time, came out 50 years ago. Peter Fonda changed changed the movie industry with Easy Rider, which up until that point, Hollywood had sort of ignored the whole hippie counterculture movement and basically that was just left for the poverty roll style filmmakers and companies to produce movies about that group of people. The moon landing that was 50 years ago. Although we do have some people in this country under the misguided notion that we faked the moon landing, which we did not. Um, we landed on the moon 50 years ago. There's something else that happened 50 years ago. It was a baseball trade. It's a baseball trade. The St. Louis Cardinals traded Curt Flood and catcher Tim McCarver to the Philadelphia Phillies for a couple of players. And what's important about this trade, and you're wondering why am I talking about a baseball trade from 50 years ago? Well, this was the trade that basically changed professional sports. Because Curt Flood didn't want to play for Philadelphia. Curt Flood wasn't a huge fan of the people that would come to the stadium that the Phillies played in. He thought they shouted racial epitaphs towards him and other African American players. The owners were penny pinchers, and the stadium was flat out the worst in professional baseball. So Curt Flood said, "No, I'm not going to Philadelphia." Major League Baseball said, "Yeah, you are. You were traded." So Curt Flood did the only thing he could do. He took on the system. He took on the system. I was talking about how he shouldn't be just traded as if he was a piece of furniture, so to speak. He took on baseball and he sued. Flood versus Kuhn. Kuhn. Bowie Kuhn, who was the commissioner at the time. And Curt Flood sadly lost. And Curt Flood was blackballed from that then on. Although he did make a spring training appearance with the Washington Senators, who were managed by Ted Williams. Same Ted Williams, who was a Red Sox star for many years. Curt Flood wasn't happy with his performance, and he retired. But more or less, he was blackballed. Washington was the only team that was even willing to entertain signing him. When Curt Flood sued Major League Baseball, union leaders, they voted for solidarity. Active players, not one of them stood up for him. Retired players did. There were some retired players that came out in support of Curt Flood. And it didn't help because Curt Flood lost his court case and was unofficially, nothing was written on paper, he was unofficially blackballed, kind of the way Colin Kaepernick has been blackballed from the NFL, the way Chris Cluey was blackballed from the NFL. And Chris Cluey was the punter for the Minnesota Vikings, and his crime was he wrote a letter to a senator from Maryland because the senator from Maryland thought that gay marriage was an atrocity, and Chris Cluey stood up for same-sex couples. Now, despite being, I believe, fifth in the NFC East in net yards punting, the Vikings drafted a punter named Jeff Locke. And lo and behold, he beats Chris Cluey out for the job, even though Jeff Locke never achieved Chris Cluey's numbers. And outside of an offer from the Raiders to come into camp, Chris Cluey never played it down in the NFL again. Why? He spoke out for support of same-sex marriage. It's amazing how we tell athletes just play ball, shut up, keep your opinion to yourself. And we don't acknowledge what they are actually risking. Now, Curt Flood, as I said, he changed the game because until then, players were considered property. Legitimately, they were considered property of whatever team owned their rights. And if a team told you, hey, we're trading you to Kansas City, you got to go to Kansas City, you went or you never played again. Curt Flood changed that. He lost the battle. He lost the lawsuit. He lost the battle, but in the end, he won the war. Because 3 years after his career ended, Peter Seltz, in an arbitration, ruled in favor of Andy Etchebarren to go sign with whatever team he wanted. So free agency, true free agency, was born. And all it took was Curt Flood sacrificing his career, getting blackballed from Major League Baseball. 50 years ago. In fact, the 50th anniversary of that trade will be October 19th, if memory serves. You can Google that and comment down below if I'm off a day or two. Curt Flood sacrificed his career, and every athlete after him has benefited from it. Now they're paid better wages. Now it's not, well, you're going here because we told you to. You know, if a player decides he doesn't want to report, guess what? He has that right. The trade is simply voided. Colin Kaepernick took a knee. He took a knee to point out the racist system that we have in this country, where African Americans are sort of targeted by police. Chris Cluey spoke out in favor of same-sex marriage. Both men lost their careers in the NFL. See, it's easy for one of us to go on Twitter, post our political ideology. Facebook, we can do the same. You can be like me and make a YouTube video. Repercussions for us are a hell of a lot different. We're not going to get blackballed from our professions. Say what you will about Colin Kaepernick, but he lost the right to do his livelihood by using his First Amendment right. Same with Chris Cluey. See, we tell athletes to just shut up and play ball because we don't want to think that they might actually have opinions that are well-informed and intelligent. Curt Flood sacrificed his career so that athletes wouldn't be treated like property. 50 years since Curt Flood. And no one's talking about it. The most landmark moment that changed the game, perhaps in the last 50 years, and no one's talking about it. Maybe we need to make them. We need to get Curt Flood, who is no longer with us, we need to get his name out there. So Curt Flood can get the recognition he deserves, even though he's no longer here to enjoy it. Shut up and play ball, huh? Anyways, have a good night and a better tomorrow.